And me, 9 finger rent agent. Whoa, what a pressure. The landlord, a pressure tenant. Whoa, what a pressure. The landlord, a pressure tenant. Everywhere you can turn in town, you hear people saying house rent too high. Yes, everywhere you can turn in town, the poor people crying house rent too high. Your rent one this month for $50. You leave the 2 months, it raised to $60. If you have any children, you can't get it. No matter what the price, you have to gladly take it. Yep.
Poverty perpetrates, class matters, gentrifucking shatters. And if you ain't ever missed a meal, how you really gonna know or feel? This ain't no shade. Ain't trying to feel like you don't need the help or feeling me, okay? It's just where we at these days. So please hear me out. If you close to being out, if you tired and done and want to shout out, I can't take this pain no more. I can't sleep on your floor. And the lie of rent got me spent, believed in it all. And now, please turn away so you don't got to watch me fall. I don't got no more energy to fight. I don't got no more papers to write. I don't got no forms to fill. I can't look at another supposedly helping website. Yeah, today's poem cast from a poverty scholar goes out to all the poor mamas, the poor papas in struggle for $1. All the people's one tiny check away from being outside every day. All the people's holding on to micro businesses, to a roof over our heads, even if we sleeping 8 to a bed. All those folks listening, I feel you, family. And now we're dealing with the violence called eviction. This jailhouse lawyer been fighting in the streets since we last checked in, refusing to believe the impending eviction wars and the so-called ending of this fake-ass eviction moratorium. The knowledge I got to impart on you today ain't everything. And most deaf, not all good, but it's rooted in realness and comes right up from our towns and hoods. And for all you advocates, activists, revolutionaries trying to help, please listen. This comes live and direct from your population targets. Yeah, this podcast from a poverty scholar again goes out to the poor peoples might be confused by the end of this eviction moratorium and breaking down some more of those unclean, whatever time they hustle you for rent. Well, too bad for you. Just try to give them a piece of paper, right? So I just want to say to all y'all, money is real, poor people's struggles is real, and I feel you. A lot of times your scamlords aren't living by the rules, right? We already know. They so-called own Mama Earth, and you getting to stay just because you kick them some change. So I got that piece. I also want to lift up all the folks who might be listening who actually are paying rent, who have a piece of paper. Some of y'all might not know that it ain't so much about that fake-ass eviction moratorium, but it's about this CARES Act. Let me break that shit down to you. Even if you don't got papers, personas sin documentos, it's okay because it applies to you. Everybody can get some of that cheese. And in the state of California, the so-called treasurer and all of these other peoples have been saying that they haven't even distributed over $1.8 billion in federal funds by the so-called September 30th deadline, aka the eviction moratorium. So what I want to redirect any of y'all folks who are worried about this eviction moratorium, I want to redirect you to the CARES Act. and to actually look up the crucial thing is how to get some of that money, okay? Because that money is actually where there is a possibility to pay those scamlords who are hungrily salivating at your door. 45 billion with a B has been allocated nationwide for rent relief. And again, in the state of California alone, it's over $1 billion just for helping people pay their rent. And so I would get your energy in that direction. Look up the HUD website. That's HUD, Housing and Urban Development, who is got information for every city specifically about the CARES Act. There's also, for those of you who have not pursued the ridiculously difficult eviction moratorium paperwork, you can write a declaration of moratorium, which is actually called a declaration of moratoria. And it basically simply states, you don't even have to get into all their legalese. You just have to put your name, the address of where you're staying, that you pay this much rent every month, and that because of the pandemic, you have either A, lost your job, B, become sick, or C, are taking care of family who've become sick, or any other things that are specifically related to because of the pandemic. The other issue that's very important to talk about is locally, for those of you who are listening in Oakland, need to know that there are resources that Just Cause locally, Causa Justa, has been putting together some specific paperwork and handouts that we'll be having at 8032 Black Arthur every Thursday starting in October, where you can, in fact, reach out for the CARES Act support, reach out for signing up to the eviction moratorium, and or getting your paperwork filled out. The last thing that I will tell you is that one of the very important pieces around all of that stuff, too, is that if you are disabled, and this is something they don't talk about very much, and nobody I don't see says it very much, but you have the right to get Americans with Disabilities Act support in filling out that paperwork. Now, in a pandemic, in this crazy virus called poverty, as well as the virus called COVID-19, things are closed up. A lot of the services aren't accessible to you, but you can be your own advocate. You can reference the Americans with Disabilities Act. Sit on hold on those customer service numbers, which they have on almost all of these websites, and tell them that you cannot fill out your paperwork on your own and you cannot leave your house. Yeah, you have to sit on hold, sometimes up to 20 to 30 minutes. Many of these quote-unquote resources are not accessible, if not all of them, for anybody who deals with a cognitive brain disorder, brain injury, dyslexia, trauma, PTSD, doing these, 30 and 40 and 50-page proof of income forms, and essentially even the endless paperwork you need to do for the CARES Act. Those are traumatizing, right? One of the things that you have the right to do is demand your ADA accessibility. But if you can't get those from those quote-unquote agencies, you can also get them from your Scamlord. In other words, you can put in writing a simple email, preferably a text, or an actual letter, old school style, and put it on your door facing outwards that says you are disabled and require Americans with Disability Act, that's ADA, accessibility. People don't know about this. They can't, a lot of these scamlords don't honor that. That's real. And so you have to fight for it. But at the same time, it's yet another obstacle to your being easily thrown out. Because one of the things that the courts do honor is accessibility claims, but you have to document them. My last teaching, this Jailhouse Lawyer teaching for you today, is document everything, even if it's in handwriting. So if you're unable, can't use, don't have access to a computer, guess what? A lot of us poor people don't. If you're an elder, if you have accessibility even in terms of Wi-Fi or your computer's broken, you aren't able to, even use a keyboard, etc., you have the right to handwrite any of these documents. And again, if you can't mail them, you can put them on your door. If you can mail them and you have a snail mail address for the corporation or the scamlord that thinks they own your small part of Mama Earth, understand that that is also a legal document. If your phone is only able to take pixelated small pictures, if you only maybe have access to a flip phone, again, you can keep those papers. That's the most important thing. And keep a actual, what's called paper trail. This poverty scholar and Jailhouse Lawyer calls them blood-stained papers for a reason. Because if there is a time when you have to appear in those absolutely unfair eviction courts that are set up from the get-up against us poor people and us tenants, know that every single paper that you have can be used for evidence. So do not take it lightly. The last thing is, and this is probably the most important lesson for today, do not leave. Do not go gently into that night. If they tell you you have to leave, if they give you some whack-ass eviction notice, don't give up your premises. No, the pigs can't throw you out. No, the police can't throw you out because you have paper rights. And if you don't understand how to fight for them, one of them is what's called actually being in possession, meaning that as long as you're in the unit, you have rights. Once you vacate the units, it's almost impossible to get any justice in the injustice courts against your scamlord. So please do not leave. If you're having trouble sorting through these things, you can email poormag@gmail.com. Again, I urge you, do not leave your unit. Keep a paper trail. And if nothing else, handwrite these documentation of your process. I want to just give love to all the people who might be hearing me. This Jailhouse Lawyer, poverty scholar, been evicted over 22 times. And I know it ain't a simple, an easy, or a good thing. We also know that evictions have been raging on since the so-called eviction-moratorium, and they really don't provide you with that much protection. At the end of the day, we all we got. But best believe this poverty scholar, Jailhouse Lawyer, will show up in court for you. And our Poor Magazine family are here to back you up if you don't got no one else. Please just give us a little time and a little patience because we poor people too. Again, poormag@gmail.com. Shouts out to CJJC, Causa Justa. Look up cjjc.org for some of their resources. Email poormag@gmail.com. And no matter what, keep fighting, no matter how much they try to intimidate you. You got rights. even in this occupied and stolen land called Americlan.
Every 3 weeks the red man come with him bodyguard and him big long gun. You can't tell him say you no have it. Anyway, there you have to try find it. Or else him coming back with the bailiff man, coming in a van with 2 policemen. And one thing you must understand, if you even get dropped, him nah get no wrong.